Perfect. All right, so we are recording. I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much to Rhonda Convery, who is here. Rhonda is a young widow. She is 45 years young and a proud mom of two incredible girls. She lost her husband Chad um, in a she lost her husband Chad in May of 2022. And tonight's presentation is a little different. Rhonda and I recorded our discussion just a few days ago, so we're going to take a moment to record the discussion. But I do think we have a few pictures of Chad, and maybe we'll take a minute to, if Rhonda, if you want to come on and say hello before we start the recording.
Happy to. Hi, everybody. I'm Rhonda. You'll be listening to an interview that Jody and I did a couple days ago. The reason I chose to record is the first time I've done something like this, so it just felt a little bit more comfortable sharing my story um, without everybody watching for the first time. But these photos, the photo of me when I'm clearly a little bit older and Chad is one of our most recent one. We did like a family photo shoot on my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. And I feel like looking at this picture, I'm like, I don't look the best in this picture, but I'm just so happy. You can see it, like we're just laughing and having fun. And afterwards, I judged every part of my body and what my face was doing. But now I just love this photo. And the other two photos are just from a silly moment at our wedding. And it was a very fun backyard wedding. You'll see Chad driving on the 50, and he told me, he said, after we say I do, we're going to get on this bike. And I was like, oh, no, we're not. I'm wearing a wedding dress. And as you can see, he won that argument. So I got on the back and we drove off into the sunset, if you will. So yeah, and our wedding anniversary is on the 11th of August. So I just thought that was appropriate to mention that day and share those photos.
Thank you, Rhonda. Okay, so as I said, Monique is the technical person, but this is the only technical part of the evening I have to look after. And I'm going to share my screen right now, and I am going to bring up Rhonda and I's little chat a few days ago. I just have to bring it all up, make all the magic happen. Okay. Here we go. I think I can share the screen and I gotta make sure the sound is on. Perfect. All right, I think we're good. All right. Thank you everybody for being here for tonight's support and share night. I have a very special guest and a friend of mine. Rhonda is here. And I just want to take a moment and say thank you, Rhonda, for joining us for Bereaved Families Support and Share evening. Um, Yeah, so here we
Thanks for having
go.
me.
Oh, yeah. I'm truly honored to introduce Rhonda as our guest speaker, someone who has a very powerful journey. At 45 years young, she is a proud mom of two amazing daughters, a full-time corporate events professional, and someone who finds peace and strength in movement. Whether it's on a paddleboard, snowboarding, yoga, or dancing like nobody is watching. She is grounded in nature, fueled by adventure, and inspired by connection. She's also a woman who has experienced deep love and a profound loss. In May 2022, her husband Chad passed away, a life alternating moment that changed her world and began a journey of rediscovery and healing. What stands out most is her courage, not in navigating grief, but in choosing to share her story with others in hopes that someone else might feel less alone. So that is so powerful, and I'm so glad you're here. Um, so we are going to just get a little started here on maybe if
Cody,
you
we
could
just
just
have the
take a minute and tell us
notes,
a
not the
little bit
video
about Chad.
showing. Just
Happily.
flip
Okay,
your
thanks.
screen.
Thanks so
Yep.
much for having me today, Jody. This is the first time that I'm doing anything like this, so bear with me as I try to keep up and tell my story. I love this question because I get to talk these days a lot about Chad's death, but not a lot about his life. And he was an incredible man. Um, he he just was full of life. He okay. The thing that I remember about him, which is kind of funny, so I we prepped these questions in advance, right? So I
Yeah.
started thinking about, okay, how can I describe Chad? And I closed my eyes, and the very first thing that I saw is him washing my floors, which is a little bit silly, but the man loved to wash floors. Like he vacuumed my floors, he washed my floors, he made me coffee every single morning. He looked like this big tough guy on the exterior, but he was really like just a big teddy bear. And you saw it the most with his kids, like his two daughters. You know, he loved nothing more than to cuddle up on the couch and watch a movie with them. And then out in the world, you know, he liked riding his big dirt bike and just, you know, he worked in heavy equipment, so he was in the construction scene, which if you know anybody in the construction scene, you know, it's a little rough around the edges. I can't tell you how many people came up to me after his celebration of life and said, Chad was my best friend. Yeah,
Oh,
like it gutted me. I was like, oh my God, like he had an impact on people's lives in his short 44 years. And to that, I must say, I was like, no, he's my best friend.
that's a good response. I would
Yeah,
say exactly that. He had a very tough exterior,
yeah,
but a really good father, and you could tell he had a really good. So that's amazing that people
yeah.
came to you and said that. If you're comfortable, just can you tell us how he died or
Yes.
the day
So
or that day?
it was it was the long weekend in May, and we were at my sister's place, all excited to be kicking off the summer, like May 24. Um, and we were down by the water, having a few drinks, having lunch, when we got a tornado warning. So on that day, it was a really big, Calabogie got hit really bad. And unfortunately, everybody that was there made it in the house. And Chad, true to his nature, was the last one, and he didn't make it in. There was some trees that fell in the yard, and he got caught in those trees, and he died in that accident. So it was a very traumatic day, and I'm still working on processing the trauma that comes along with that. But
Yeah.
what really sticks out for me that day, I mean, it was a long from the time of that happening to the time I came back home after the hospital, um, was having to tell my girls.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a lot.
And so we have, at the time, my oldest was 8 and my youngest was 5. And I had to walk into my sister's house and tell them that, you know, daddy was too badly hurt and the
Mhm.
doctors couldn't fix him and he died. And my 8-year-old in that moment did not cry, looked at me straight in the eyes, wrapped her arms around me, and said, it's going to be okay. We still have each other. With the three of us in that
Wow.
room, it took her a really long time to cry too. And I was worried, but I look back on that moment and I just see a little girl who had to grow up in an instant.
Yeah.
And my youngest is now 8 and I see how little she is. And it just like, it rips my heart into to think that my oldest had to, she essentially kind of propelled herself into this support position at
Yeah.
8.5 years old. So
Yeah. She's a strong kid.
yeah.
Um, so that was immediate thoughts, but and emotions and things of the day. But how did the early days of your grief? So not necessarily that day, but the the upcoming days and weeks? Did you feel shock, anger,
Oh,
sadness,
all of the
all of it?
above. All of the above. So for sure, I would wake up in the morning and forget. I'd wake up in the morning and be like, what? Like, because it was just in an instant he was gone. So, you get to your home and yeah, so I was lucky. I had a community, including yourself, Jody, that totally wrapped your arms around me and my girls. There was a food train, people stopping by to visit. I remember sitting on my deck a lot of the time in the very, very early days, and people coming and going and just being kind of there. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
remember a lot of detail. I just remember the noise around me. My kids really wanted to go back to school. I gave them the choice because they had the year to finish. They really wanted to go back to school, so I did, which was kind of a blessing for me because I would just keep it together, make their lunch, pack their bags. As soon as they got on that school bus, I would like hit the kitchen floor
yeah,
like every
yeah,
single day, and then pick
yeah,
myself up, go to the grocery store, walk around, look around, and be like, wow, how come everything is just like people are just walking around like Chad didn't die? You
yeah,
know, it was surreal in the very, very
yeah.
early days for me.
So you would put them on, they'd go off to school, you'd have some time, and you were just saying, like, kind of going through the motions. Um, but how was it like when they came home from school? Like, how did you walk through it with them?
It was full on survival mode.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I look back on with, and I'm not so kind to myself because I wish, like, I considered myself a very involved, like, fun mom. And then
Absolutely.
this happened, their dad died, and I didn't have that support anymore. I was fully this instant single mom, and I tried, like, I don't even remember, but I wanted to give them as much of me as I could, and maybe I'm just being hard on myself, but I know they looked at me for more support, and I just, at some point I'd just be like touched out, I'd be checked out.
Yeah.
I really tried. I did physically, I was there for them. So we had a trailer that we had whole planned summer to go out on the road, and I ended up calling my childhood campground and saying, this happened. Do you have a spot for me to park it? And they did. And I had a friend show up for me and park my trailer. And we had a great summer. Like, all things considering, we were swimming and fishing. I was putting worms on, taking fish off. Never did I ever want to do that. But I
You'd
just,
never done it before. That was
well,
like,
I
I
didn't
gotta do
have
this.
to. That was not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess, grit, and like I just tried to be there for them as much as I could. I took
Yeah.
time off work, which was helpful. I saw a therapist. She helped me through that time, and yeah, I just tried to have a fun summer. Seek joy was like my tagline. Like, okay, we're gonna just seek out little moments of joy, you know. There was
Yeah.
also the we worked through like the fear of the weather, like obviously came with that. So the kids, like if it was gray out, if it was raining, I wasn't allowed to go outside because the kids were like, you couldn't tell them it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
They no longer believe that sentence. So you really
Well, I
need to
think,
adjust your words.
yeah. And I think what people need to know is that's not your kid's only experience or your only experience with bad weather. I mean, living in a
Exactly.
neighborhood with tornado, it's already something there.
Yeah.
And then that traumatic of a day, right? So,
Yeah. So the
yeah.
2018, what Jody's talking about, the 2018 tornado came through our town, and homes 100 meters from us were completely decimated. So you can't say this is a one-time thing, this is never going to happen again. You can't say that to them. They're just legitimately afraid now, and you have to honor that, and you have to
Hmm.
just go at their timeline, which is very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not your timeline and theirs are two different, right?
exactly. Exactly.
So you just kind of touched on that a little bit, but um, uh, do you feel l- pressure to be strong for others, not necessarily just for your kids, but like, um, like I don't know, maybe you just kind of answered that. If like you had to be strong, right? Did you feel pressure to be strong, or was it just like, no, I am going to be strong. I'm going to do this for the kids.
I think that was something that I did to myself is I kind of took on that role for the family. Like
Mhm.
I wanted for Chad's family too, like his immediate family, his mom, his dad, his brother. I wanted to still be there for, Thanksgiving and show the girls that we're still a family. Does, this didn't change, this changed a lot, but in that dynamic didn't change our family dynamic, right? Like
Yeah.
that's so yeah, and I think what I found the courage to do in that space because there's families who talk about things and there's families who don't. So in that space, I think it was really difficult for anybody to talk about it because they always think that they're going to upset you or upset the
Hmm.
kids. So I was sitting there at Thanksgiving actually at Chad's parents' house and I said, we've got to stop. Like we can't pretend this didn't happen. Like I don't think I said it that nicely. I think I just went like Chad, 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 Chad. Like I was like, we have to say his name. I think that's what I don't remember specifically, but it wasn't eloquent or beautiful or anything.
Yeah.
It was just a pure like, yeah, it was just a pure
Relief.
release moment that I
Yeah.
was like, and it was good for all of us because I think everyone was like, okay, thank God somebody said it. Somebody addressed the elephant in the room. We're not pretending anymore. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel
Yeah.
the way we're feeling. It's okay to miss him and talk about him and then the next family event we brought out pictures and things like that. But I,
That's amazing because they might not have done you
yeah,
started it, right?
it took me a while to get there though. That was Thanksgiving. So before that, I was very much like I didn't like hanging out with my parents because I was just mad at
Mm,
them. I'm like, you guys get to be married for 50 years. Like
yeah.
we were almost married 10 years. It was a month or two before our anniversary when he died. So I was just I was angry. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. Um, so maybe kind of you adjusted a little bit by saying you took some time off work and you did some therapy, but what tools or resources or people helped you cope with everything?
I think it's been different at every stage. In the
Hmm.
very, very beginning, allowing myself to just I think when like I spoke about the trailer, that was completely new. That was just me and my girls. That was ours. So we met all new people that didn't know Chad. We were in this space that was unfamiliar and it felt very comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that in the very beginning was very helpful to me. Like I still called upon my friends and my closest friends and family what, and during that time, but it was nice to have an escape. Like your mind and your body cannot process all of this. Like it protects itself. So in that environment, I found it really, really helpful for me in the beginning days. Then it went, that was over. We went back to school. I actually took up yoga. I always did
Hmm.
it, but I went to the community center and I was doing it with seniors, but it didn't matter. I got a pass. I went every single day. I'd go Monday mornings was like this lovely lady who did this very low key yoga session where basically I would start lying on my mat every Monday and I was like, I can do this.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it moved
Yeah.
into like trying to figure out how I could be happy again. Like I was like, I need to be happy, not happy, sorry. I need to be at peace for my children's sake. So I did, I tried to get out of my comfort zone and do things like entering a snowboard race, registering for like a roller skating workshop, going out for dinner by myself, just
Yeah.
if I had a sitter and I could get out for a couple hours, I'd go eat oysters and just do little things like that. Music was huge for me. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been different at every stage, and now Now it's different today. I talk to him a lot more.
Oh, wow.
Took me a little while to do that. I find like when I'm near like in nature or near water, I feel more permission to do it. But yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and you're still adventurous, and I guess now you can do those fun things because I think you just did a race with one of your daughters, did you not? Like a mud race or something. So
Oh
now you
yeah,
can,
we did Mud Girl. The girls and I did Mud Girl this past weekend. It was
yeah,
yeah. And racing and that kind of thing is not my thing, but I just said yes to it and everybody had such a good time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to challenge.
Um, yeah. So this is kind of a tricky one, but what did you struggle with the most?
Um, I think I had this I tried to live, like I really put an emphasis on living my life that I feel I had some guilt associated with that.
Yeah,
So one of the hardest things is being scared of forgetting him, like what he sounds like, what he smells like, what his hugs feel like, because God, he gave the best hugs. That was really that's been really hard is trying to find a balance of moving forward and making joy a priority and and keeping him with us. I
yeah,
also parenting. I think
yeah,
parenting's hard for everybody. But for me, I've struggled a lot with judging myself and how and trying to like rectify what I did in the early days.
hmm,
I feel really guilty for like my kids needed me and I'm not saying I wasn't there, but I just couldn't. So I'm struggling a lot with forgiving myself for the mom that I was right after this happened and trying to build back those connections. Like we're very connected, but
you
just
are.
just I don't know, I carry a lot of guilt about that and I just think that they would have had like I just keep thinking like obviously their life would be better if he was still here. Like he would have loved them more than anybody else on this planet will love them. He would have, it's hard to do it without your partner because they are the only person that share that with you. That mental load of parenting in
Yeah,
every single decision you make, the small decisions, the big decisions. I have a daughter who has a chronic illness and things are happening with that and I have to make all these decisions and we knew it when she was born and we talked about that's okay, we'll face it together you know
yeah,
so that's what I struggle with to this day. Like it's hard being a single mom and giving these kids all the love that they deserve.
yeah. Especially when he was such a hands-on dad, right?
He was, yeah, he absolutely was.
What kind of access or support to access, like what kind of support really did you get through the schools, or did you have any for your kids? Like, because you took a lot of it on too, but was there anything additional that you did for the kids?
So I did set up therapy for my oldest daughter and kind of went at her pace. So she went right away, and my main concern for her was the her fear of like her anxiety and fear about the weather and about me dying was at the forefront. So we kind of wanted to hit that head on, and so she did see somebody to talk through those emotions, and she decided. I think she probably went for about a year, and she decided on her own to stop. I did try with my younger daughter, but she was she was not receptive to it. She didn't like it. And so I want to make sure that it is an option for them all the time. So I this is kind of silly, but I relate it to skiing. Like I want to be a skiing family. So when my kids say it's time to get off the hill, we get off the hill and we go have hot chocolate and we make it fun. So same thing with therapy. Like this is going to be a journey for them, like they're going to have grief forever,
Yeah.
grieving what could have been. So I want therapy to be available to them forever and not to get this like bad feeling about it or right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how do you think, did your loss change you and how? I know it did, but I want you to share with others. How did it
Hmm.
change you?
It it changed me profoundly because I and it changed me in many ways. So I am like an optimist, so I try and
Mm.
think of the good things that I see, and I try and carry the good things that I loved about Chad forward. So it made me really zero in on the things that I loved about him and that I want our kids to remember about him. And like one of the best things that he did was he really lived in the moment. He really, like I remember watching him like wheeling his four-wheeler on the driveway, and I'm like, the only thing in his head right now is wheeling it on the driveway. Meanwhile, I'm like, I gotta pack this. There's an appointment on Tuesday. I gotta make this for dinner. So making sure that the, you know, I focus on the big things and kind of try not to worry too much about the littler things
Yeah.
is something that I'm trying to do. I can hear his voice in my head sometimes, like, Rhonda, let it go. And yeah, I
He
also
really did live in the moment.
he did. He did. I was so jealous of that. And I should say, and like just it was so inspiring to watch him do that. So now I got to like be able to reflect on that and also just like how quickly and how fleeting and how amazing life is, right? Like I get to be here still. I get to be the one to raise our girls. I get to be the one to do whatever I do with this life. And I don't know how long I'm going to be here. So that is the gift that he gave me. And it came at a tremendous cost.
Yeah.
But that is what he gave me. And I'm not going to waste it. I'm not going to waste it because I don't know what he would have wanted me to do. We never talked about it. I wish we would have talked about it. Do this when like, but we were in our 40s. We were just living life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I, yeah, I
You did
chose.
live in the moment, and I think you have you do live in the moment, probably more so since. And sometimes I catch myself thinking, oh, like I've thought sometimes, well, Rhonda would live in the moment. Like I have literally done that sometimes. And
Aw,
I
that's
don't think you
awesome.
actually know that.
I
Yeah.
don't know that. No, that's amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Um, what did you learn from your grieving experience? Because obviously at 40, it wasn't part of your plan. And, we think that all the milestones and stuff, but this came at you suddenly and quickly, and you had to learn on the fly. Like,
Hmm.
what was the biggest learning experience from this?
The biggest one is hard to pinpoint, but like I learned a lot. Like I learned how to
Yeah.
change a lawnmower battery. I learned that you should probably open your shed during the summer because I opened it at one point and we had a rat problem and I was cursing Chad the whole time cleaning it up. I so just I One of the things I learned for sure that kind of I guess over everything else is take a deep breath and try again. You can do this. Because
That's
I would get so worked up. One time, right when it happened, I couldn't even fold up the wagon because I was just so worked up and I was so But then the next summer, I like folded up the wagon and I was like, this wagon is easy to fold up. I just need to take a deep breath and try again.
I
And the
love that.
big, big, big thing that I learned too, that I keep saying to myself, and this is just a recent revelation, I think, is that two things can be true. Like, you can't, like, I can feel pain and I can feel joy in like the same moment. Like, because I'm
Yeah,
always going to carry that pain. And that's just a reminder that he was real.
yeah,
And in that moment, like I can be looking at something and finding joy in it, and carrying him with me is always going to have a little bit of that heaviness.
yeah, yeah. Kind of touching on that heaviness part of it, like, um, how long did it take? The first few days and months were really heavy. How long did it take for you to feel light or, get a sense of hope again?
Wow, that's a really deep question. I actually don't think there was a moment that it happened. I think it was a bunch of little moments, a bunch of little wins, like folding up the hammock or folding up that little
Wagon.
wagon, or just knowing that I'm capable, knowing that I can do this. Um, yeah, it was just I don't think there was one moment. I think it was a whole bunch of little moments that kind of built on each other. I can tell you that today I feel hopeful. Today I feel, you know, I'm still working on fully being at peace, but I am feeling more peace more often.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of touching on that, how do you keep Chad's memory alive?
In the beginning, we did do bigger events. So I would have people over on, his birthday, the day that he died. I just wanted the girls to see that people still remembered him, people still loved him, and just surround them with, kind of Chad's vibe, like his energy around them. Um, and it's funny, we were talking about this, and you're like, what do you think? You're like, what do you think that is? I saw that question, and I was like, I don't think I do enough. I don't know. And then you always hear, I don't know, there's a whole widow community out on Instagram, and you see what they do, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything. My poor kids. I'm lousy at this. But we do have, so we did do these stickers at his celebration of life, and it says having a time. There's this Canadian comedian. He's a bit ridiculous, but Chad loved him and always quoted him. So we had these. This is an artist from Vancouver Island. She's a very good friend of mine, and she took a photo and drew this up. So we handed out a bunch of them, so people have them on their cars and their ATVs and their dirt bikes and their golf clubs, and it's just about, like having a time for Chad. So this is something that we did to carry his legacy forward. I even put it on my A friend did this for me actually. Put it on
Love
my
that.
mug. Um,
I have to
yeah,
say, when I see these stickers, like we live in the same community, so I mean, lots of us have them on our like cars and stuff like that. But when I'm like out in the wild in Ottawa and I
a
see one of them, I'm like, oh, who is that?
Chad sighting. I know,
Yeah,
it's so exciting. It's so exciting.
it is.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we do is we talk about him. I have a big, nice picture in both girls' rooms. We still have our family picture over the couch. We just talk about him. And when we're doing something, I remind the girls about, oh my gosh, daddy would have loved that. Or he would have, oh my gosh, if he saw you do that, he'd be so proud. Just little things, because I worry they're gonna forget too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're really good at that. I've heard you do that a few times and it actually makes me feel warm and fuzzy. So I'm sure they do too.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for saying that.
Um, well, what do you feel? Yeah, so what do you think his legacy is? And in your family or maybe in the wilder world, in the bigger picture in the world? Like, do, I guess you kind of touched on that, saying like, you don't want your kids to forget him and you talk about him, but like, what do you feel like his legacy is? Like, where do you see him? That sort of thing.
His legacy is for our family everywhere because he very much still is a part of our family. So I see him in the silly things that my kids do. I see him in so many different situations. And I think that you just need to be open to seeing him, right? Because for a very long time I was mad at him because I'm like, where are you? Where are you? But I think as soon as you kind of take a breath and you let like the possibility of the fact that he is around you, he is a part of your life still, not in the human form, but however you believe that he possibly could be, he is here. He is a part of our family.
Yeah.
And I did hear something very cool that I did like we have a chalkboard and my kids are like, "Oh my gosh, mom." But I write like little sayings or like on his birthday I'll write like messages from him. But one of the things I saw was like be the best parts of the person who you love and lost. So like, if friends if my daughter's having trouble with friends, I talk about how her dad would have handled it. And,
Yeah.
like he could walk into a room and be friends with anybody and it doesn't matter the status or the what, so I try and bring him into anything. So I think his legacy is me and his kids and his mom and his dad and everybody out there that loved him and shares his story.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, I think that's all my questions for today, but is there anything that you want to share more with our grieving community, um, or something else that you want to share with the group tonight?
Maybe just that I did take advantage of BFO's services. I think I might have been too early on in my grieving process, but I was like, I'm gonna be the best widow ever. I'm gonna do all the things right. And so anyways, I signed up for a widows group and I went in downtown to Bronson and was it on Bronson? Is it on Bronson?
Dennis,
So I went down there like every Thursday night and the women that I met there were incredible and I felt so seen, much like I do right now, because it's not something you get to talk about very often and have people listen and care. So I'm just grateful to have this opportunity to talk about Chad and share the love that I have for him to somebody
Mhm.
other than the Ottawa River.
Well, I am so glad that you shared, and I know it takes a lot of courage to, present and in any circumstance, but something so close to your heart. So I'm so glad that you took this opportunity to share about Chad because I did know him, but I feel like I've got to see him in another light today too. So it's really good. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being here with us. And you are an incredible woman. And I think you just inspired so many other people here tonight. So thank you.
Thanks, Jody.
Thank you.
I'm super grateful to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.